Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my spoiler-free review of The Illusionists by Aashish Gupta. It is an Indian adult psychological thriller book and I'm working with the author in order to bring to you guys this review. So without any further ado, let's get into the various sections of the review and I'll tell you guys my opinions about this book and whether it will be suitable for you to read or not. Starting with the plot, here we follow our two brothers, Azim and Aslan, who are our main characters, and they are world famous illusionists, which is the term that the author uses throughout this book in order to describe con artists. Both of these brothers have been through a lot in their lives and they have risen to a very high social status, and because of this they are both plotted against each other in an election, and since they are very famous they have a huge following also. Because of this, what happens is no matter who wins the election, the state is going to break into civil war, and the only solution in order to avoid that civil war and make the state attain a normal state is to sit down and talk. And what happens is these two brothers sit down and talk, and they are to convince the other brother that he himself is the one that is suitable in order to rule the state, and the brother who accepts that the other can win should shoot himself and die. Apart from the main plot, we also have this other story that is narrated by one of our two main characters in between the plot itself, and it occurs here and there, so we skip in between both the stories. In the beginning it does not make sense because the second story that is being narrated inside our main plot doesn't seem to have any kind of significance for the plot, but towards the end it all makes sense. Even I felt like the second story does not have any scope for the entire plot of the book itself, but I was proven wrong when I reached the second half of the book, and the way in which the author has intertwined both of these stories and presented them to us in the second half of the book was very interesting to read and I liked it a lot. Moving on to the characters, I can say that the character work that the author has done in this book is also really good compared to the amount of pages that he has. We don't have just our two main characters Azim and Aslan, but also their elder sister Ruxana, whose tale is narrated to us. Apart from these three main characters, we also have the followers of Azim as well as Aslan, like Omar, Aiza, Shazia, Hashir, Razia and many other such characters. Since we have a second storyline that is being narrated inside the story itself, there are some characters that are specific to that story also. In any way, I did not feel like the side characters were confusing the main plot of the book and did not add anything to the book at all. All of them felt necessary, and the amount of time that the author gave for each and every side character was really nice. There was one small problem alone which I faced while I was reading the two main characters. It is that they both sounded a bit similar to me. I don't know whether it was because of the fact that both of them are highly skilled illusionists and they are very similar to each other and brothers, or it was just the way in which the characters were written. Since I am a character driven reader myself, I want to care about the characters while I'm reading any book, and in this book I can say that of the two brothers, I was rooting for one brother and I wanted him to win towards the end. I cannot reveal who that brother is and whether he won or not towards the end of the book, but in terms of writing the characters, I can say that the author has done a really good job within the small amount of pages that he has. It was not so weak that I was not able to see these characters playing out the roles that they were written to play out inside the plot. At the same time, it was not so overpowering that one character dominated the other throughout the book. In short, I can say that for the length of the novel, the character work was really well done. Moving on to the writing, I can say that the author's writing style is very well flowing and it does not seem stagnant at any point. Since this is a thriller, for me I want the writing to flow well, because if I get stuck up at one point, I'll not be able to continue on with the book at all. I did not face that issue at any point inside this book. At the same time, it is a bit repetitive in the second half especially. I can say that the repetition is very intentional also. While I started the second half, it just felt like there are many things which are being repeated here, and I don't think that is that much necessary since the book is very short. But after I read like 4 or 5 pages, I was able to understand that this repetition is very intentional and it is necessary in order to repeat all these stuff in order to provide that effect for us while certain things are being revealed. At the same time, this book has the perfect mood for a psychological thriller, okay? Every time I sat down and read this book, it did not feel like a ray of sunshine or something which is very good at all. I was always in this gloomy kind of mood while I was reading the book, and I loved that very much. The author did not show this world like a very bright one at all. He just shows it in the most raw form possible. Since it is short, there's not that much space in order to show the world entirely for us or show the setup entirely for us, because we have a limited amount of pages, so he can go only up to a certain amount of details. But I think that detail was enough in order to provide me that mood for the psychological thriller. There is only one thing which I found as an inconvenience while I was reading this book. It is that it is not edited properly. It has a few typos here and there, and the words are also a bit misaligned at instances. I said that there are some repetitions inside the second half, right? What are the misalignments and typos were present in the first half? They were just repeated as such in the second half also. So that just shows us that the editing was not that proper. I can say that this could have gone through another round of editing and all of those problems could have been cleared. I'm saying this in specific because for me, I want the editing to be perfect, because while I'm reading a really good story and hit a point where there is a typo, my mind just goes back to that typo and it interrupts that flow for me. So I can say that that is a negative aspect in terms of writing for this book. It's not the author's fault, but in terms of editing, I think that was a lazy choice. Finally, talking about the pacing, I can say that the pacing of this book was very fast and it did not feel like it lagged at any point at all. The first 5 to 6 pages of the book was so gripping that I was not able to put down the book and I just wanted to flip the pages continuously. Since it's a thriller, if the pacing had been slow at some point, I would have easily got bored with the book, but it did not happen at any point while reading this book for me. I did read this book in multiple sittings, but I can easily say that you can finish this over a weekend since it is very short and it is also a huge page turner. I'm sure that if you're a speed reader, you can finish this book in like 2 or 3 hours max. Even if you're in a reading slump, I'd highly suggest you to read this book because it is very fast paced. At the same time, it is very short. Because of this, you'll be able to read the book faster, and there is this sense of intrigue that is built by the author in each and every chapter. While I was reading every chapter, while I finished each and every chapter, I was not that easily able to close the book and keep it aside because there was something that was waiting for me in the next chapter, and I always like that kind of pacing very much because it makes me want to read the book a lot more and get to know what's happening inside the story, and I can say that this book provided that for me. Overall, I rate this book 3.75 stars. It could have been a 4-star read for me, but the editing was the only problem which I faced hugely. Because of that, I'm reducing that 0.25 stars alone. So yeah, that's the review for this book, and I highly suggest you to read it if you like thrillers and especially psychological thrillers like me. And I want to thank the author for collaborating with me in this review. I'll provide the link to buy the book as well as the author's Instagram down below. Do go forward and check them out. And if you did find this video useful in some way or the other, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.